Today's coaster review is of Copperhead Strike, the new for 2019 Mack Multilaunch coaster that anchors down the new Blue Ridge Junction section of Carowinds. Jess and I visited Carowinds shortly after this ride's debut, and while we are excited to ride Copperhead Strike, honestly I wasn't sure how the ride was going to fit into the rest of the park's lineup. I mean, you have Fury 325 right on the other side of the park. How could any other new addition even matter? Taking a look at its stats, Copperhead Strike doesn't seem like much. It's only 82 feet tall, it only hits 50 miles an hour, and its ride time is under 2.5 minutes. As we walked through Carowinds, on our way to get the first train of the day on Copperhead Strike, I had to ask myself, is this going to be a family coaster, a thrill coaster, or something else altogether? The answer to these questions is yes. Let's take a ride on Copperhead Strike together and find out how one ride can be so many different things. Copperhead Strike starts off with a bag, leading into a unique JoJo roll immediately after the station, and by God does this element deliver on hang time. After the JoJo roll, you cruise into the show building. The show sequence is short and honestly not very memorable, something about moonshine and snakes. But before you can try to figure out what it was, the ride kicks off into the first launch. The launch is not particularly forceful, but then leads into a very slow vertical loop with a lot of hang time, and you'll find hang time is a recurring theme throughout this ride. The next inversion also delivers a little bit of hang time, but not as much as the vertical loop. Then you go through a series of sharp overbank turns. Next you hit the second launch, which I was really excited about because of the bunny hill throughout the launch. Unfortunately, it really didn't provide as much airtime as I was hoping for, but it was still a fun experience. From there, the ride goes throughout its course with another vertical loop and lots of overbank turns. The ride is very smooth and every transition is graceful. There's never a point where this ride is overly forceful, but there's also never a point where you're wishing for more. Copperhead Strike stays low to the ground for the vast majority of its course, and it really makes it feel like it's going a lot faster than the top speed of 50 miles an hour. Throughout the last few elements, Copperhead Strike keeps its momentum, and it really doesn't slow down until the final brake run. Copperhead Strike delivers many things. The ride is a buffet of hang time, and it left me wanting to go back for seconds. To make things even better, the ride is super comfortable mock restraints, and for a hang time junkie like me, it simply doesn't get any better than a JoJo roll with only a lap bar. Copperhead Strike delivers a glass-smooth ride with pops of airtime sprinkled throughout the entire course. There are a few airtime moments that blur the line between floater and ejector, but there's never really a point where you feel like the ride is trying to kill you. Copperhead Strike is simply comfortable from start to finish. This fun yet tame ride experience is a critical part of why Copperhead Strike is such a good fit for Carowinds. As we all know, Carowinds offers some of the best coasters in the world. Fury 325 may be the finest all-steel coaster that's ever been built, and Afterburn and Intimidator are both solid offerings from B&M. The problem that Carowinds faced before Copperhead Strike is that their second-tier offerings were, let's be honest, crap. Vortex is awful, Carolina Cyclone is rough, and Nighthawk may be my least favorite coaster that I've ever ridden. Seriously, tear that thing down right now. Carowinds is really missing that intermediate coaster that provides a great ride experience to the newer rider looking to move up from family coasters, and Copperhead Strike is the perfect ride to fill in that coaster gap at Carowinds. It's impossible to talk about Copperhead Strike without also talking about theming. It's no secret that Cedar Fair has been trying to up their theming game in recent years, and Copperhead Strike certainly expands upon this. At the time it was built, it was the high watermark of Cedar Fair theming. Theming is far from Disney level, but the queue is interesting stuff to look at throughout, and at least makes some effort to tell a story. Carowinds is a park that was almost totally lacking in theming before Copperhead Strike was built, so the additional effort in this area is a nice change of pace, and it's something I hope to see them expand upon with future attractions. While I loved Copperhead Strike, I'll be the first to admit that it's not without its flaws. The ride arguably hits its high points early on, with the awesome hang time in the JoJo roll in the first vertical loop, but it doesn't really deliver a finale to match the beginning. The launches do their job of getting the train up to speed, but they're pretty forgettable and don't have any real forces behind them. The show building is a nice bit of theming, but it's over very quickly, and it doesn't really do a great job of explaining the story of the ride. But these critiques are just nitpicks, and they don't really detract from the overall experience of the ride. Copperhead Strike is a well-rounded, consistently fun coaster that fits very well into Carowinds' lineup. It's not a ride that was intended to draw in the huge crowds from near and far, but they didn't need that. They already have Fury 325. Nobody is going to leave Carowinds saying that Copperhead Strike is the best ride in the park, but it'll be on everyone's list of rides to hit every time they visit Carowinds. Copperhead Strike is exactly what the park needed, and I personally can't wait to ride it again. Have you ridden Copperhead Strike? If you have, let us know what you think about it in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing for more content from Coaster Center. Until next time, ride on, Coaster fans.